The syringe pierced my neck before I could scream. My knees buckled on the rain-slicked Seoul sidewalk as strong arms caught me, pulling me against a chest that smelled like cedar and something darker. Through blurring vision, I glimpsed those eyes, the same piercing dark eyes that had been watching me for weeks, from across coffee shops, from the shadows of Gangnam galleries, from places I'd convinced myself were safe. "I've got you now. Little Firefly." A deep voice murmured in Korean, accented English against my hair. "You're finally mine." Everything went black. Let me tell you how I got here. How Kendra James from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, ended up drugged and kidnapped on the streets of Seoul by a man I'd never officially met but who somehow knew everything about me. 3 months earlier, I'd stepped off that plane at Incheon International Airport with 2 suitcases, a business degree from LSU, and enough determination to rebuild the entire Han River with my bare hands if I had to. I was done being poor, done watching my mama scrub floors at the country club while the members barely looked at her, done wearing thrift store clothes and swallowing my pride with every scholarship application. Seoul was supposed to be my fresh start. My boyfriend Dominic had made it happen, secured me a position at his family's prestigious art gallery in Gangnam. Dom Kim was everything I'd thought I wanted. Wealthy, connected, polished in his designer suits, with his perfectly styled hair and American prep school accent. We'd met at a business networking event in New Orleans, and he'd swept me into a world of luxury I'd only seen in movies. "Trust me, Kendra," Dominic had said, kissing my forehead at the airport before I left. "1 year in Seoul, working at the gallery, and you'll have the international business experience to write your own ticket. My family will take care of you." What he didn't mention was that taking care of me meant a tiny apartment in Hongdae with a roommate who hated me, a job that felt increasingly wrong, and him being too busy to see me more than once every 2 weeks. But I'm getting ahead of myself. My first day at the Elysian Gallery, I wore my best interview suit, the black one I'd splurged on at an outlet mall, and practiced my Korean greetings until my tongue ached. The gallery occupied 3 floors of a gleaming tower in the heart of Gangnam, all white marble and floor-to-ceiling windows, showcasing contemporary art that probably cost more than my entire neighborhood back home. The receptionist, a stunning Korean woman named Minji, looked me up and down with barely concealed disdain when I introduced myself. "So you're Dominic's project?" she said, in perfect English, her lips curling slightly. "The manager's office is on the 3rd floor. Don't touch anything on your way up." I climbed those stairs with my head high, even as my stomach churned. The manager, Mrs. Seo Ji-won, was a severe woman in her 50s, with hair pulled back so tightly it must have given her a permanent headache. She didn't smile when I entered. "Miss James." She looked at her computer screen instead of me. "Your position is in shipping and inventory. You'll process paperwork, coordinate deliveries, and maintain our warehouse records. The warehouse is in the basement. You'll spend most of your time there." "I thought I'd be working in gallery operations," I said carefully. "Client relations, maybe helping with exhibitions." "You thought wrong." Mrs. Seo's eyes finally met mine, cold as January in Seoul. "Dominic recommended you for this position specifically. I suggest you prove his faith wasn't misplaced." She handed me a badge and a thick folder of documents in Korean. "Your roommate will be Choi Soo. Young. She's energetic. Try to keep up." Soo Young turned out to be a nightmare, wrapped in designer clothes and bad attitude. She made it clear from day one that she resented Dominic putting me in the apartment his family owned. "You're taking up space that should go to actual artists," she snapped when I tried to store my groceries in the kitchen. "This neighborhood is for creatives, not Dominic's charity cases." I bit my tongue and moved my food to my tiny bedroom. I was good at swallowing pride. I'd been practicing my whole life. The gallery work was strange from the start. Mrs. Seo had me processing shipments that arrived at odd hours, always through the loading dock in the basement. The crates came from all over the world: Paris, London, Dubai, New York. I signed for them, logged them in the system, and stored them in the climate-controlled warehouse, without ever seeing what was inside. "Don't open the crates," Mrs. Seo had warned me on day 2. "Our clients value discretion above all else. Your job is documentation, not inspection." But it was the signatures that first made me suspicious. After 2 weeks, I noticed that many of the export documents bore my digital signature, but I'd never approved those shipments. I'd never even seen them. I was too afraid to ask, too afraid to rock a boat that was keeping me fed and housed in one of the most expensive cities in the world. That's when I first saw him. It was a Tuesday morning at the coffee shop, 2 blocks from the gallery. I was practicing my Korean with the barista, fumbling through an order for an iced Americano, when I felt that prickling sensation of being watched. I turned, and there he was, sitting in the corner booth with the laptop open, but his eyes fixed entirely on me. He was beautiful, in a way that made my breath catch. Sharp jawline, dark hair falling slightly over his forehead, and eyes so intense they seemed to burn through the distance between us. He wore all black, expensive black, the kind that whispered money without shouting it. When our eyes met, he didn't look away. He just stared at me with an expression I couldn't read, something between hunger and possession that made heat flood my cheeks. I grabbed my coffee and practically ran back to the gallery, but he was there again the next day, and the day after that, always in the same corner, always watching me with those devastating eyes, never approaching. It should have terrified me. Instead, I found myself looking for him, disappointed on the rare mornings he wasn't there. Dominic barely noticed when I mentioned it during one of our infrequent dinners. Probably just some guy with a crush, he said, scrolling through his phone while we sat in an upscale restaurant I couldn't afford on my salary. Korean guys are shy. He'll get over it. Dominic, I'm serious. It's been 3 weeks. Kendra, I'm handling a major acquisition right now. Can we not do the paranoid girlfriend thing tonight? I pushed my expensive food around my expensive plate and said nothing. The girl from Baton Rouge, swallowing her pride again. The next morning, I woke to find 3 romance novels on my doorstep. Beautiful hardcovers, all by Black women authors, all featuring strong heroines, finding love against impossible odds. No note, no name, but I knew they were from him somehow. I could feel it. Sue Young was furious when she came home and found them. Your stalker knows where we live now? Great. Just great. Maybe he'll murder us both in our sleep, and at least I won't have to look at your cheap clothes anymore. I should have been scared. I was scared, but I was also fascinated in a way that made no sense, drawn to this stranger who watched me with such intensity, who somehow knew I loved to read, who left me gifts but never demanded anything in return. You can do better, Mrs. Seo said one afternoon, startling me. I was in her office delivering paperwork, and she was staring at a photo of Dominic on her desk. Then Dominic, I mean. He's not who you think he is. Before I could ask what she meant, her phone rang, and she dismissed me with a wave. I should have listened. God, I should have listened. It all fell apart on a Friday evening in late August. I'd been working late, trying to reconcile some discrepancies in the shipping logs. The numbers weren't adding up, and the more I dug, the worse it looked. Shipments that shouldn't exist, prices that made no sense, and my signature on all of it. I needed to talk to Mrs. Seo. I climbed the stairs to the 3rd floor, rehearsing what I'd say, when I heard sounds from her office. The door was cracked open, and through it I saw Dominic. Dominic, my boyfriend, buried deep inside Mrs. Seo, bent over her desk, with his hand fisted in her hair. She's perfect for this, Mrs. Seo gasped. Poor, desperate, isolated. No one will believe her over us. My father's genius, Dominic grunted. Find someone easy to manipulate, put their name on everything, and when the authorities come calling, I didn't hear the rest. I was already running. Down the stairs, through the marble lobby, out into the humid Seoul evening. I had my phone, my purse, and the flash drive I'd been using to copy suspicious files. My hands shook as I tried to hail a taxi, tears blurring my vision. That's when he appeared. One moment I was alone on the sidewalk. The next he was there, materializing from the shadows like he'd been waiting for exactly this moment. Up close, he was even more devastating, tall, broad-shouldered, with a face that could have been carved by an artist who worshipped beauty. Little Firefly, he said softly in English, with barely a trace of accent, reaching for me. Don't cry. I've got you. Stay away from me, I choked out, backing up. I don't know you, but I know you, Kendra James. I know you're brilliant and brave, and you deserve so much more than what they've done to you. I know you like your coffee, with 2 sugars, that you read on the subway, that you're kind to stray cats. I know you're in danger, and I can't let them hurt you. How do you? He moved faster than I could process, one hand cupping my face with unexpected gentleness, while the other brought up the syringe. I felt the sharp sting against my neck. I'm sorry, he whispered as my legs gave out. I'm so sorry, little Firefly, but you're mine now. I'll keep you safe. I promise. The world tilted sideways, his arms cradling me as darkness swallowed everything. I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows, disoriented and nauseous. The bed beneath me was massive and impossibly soft, covered in white linens that probably cost more than my monthly salary. As my eyes adjusted, I realized I was in a bedroom the size of my entire apartment, all modern Korean architecture with clean lines and minimalist furniture. And sitting in a chair by the window, watching me with those intense dark eyes, was my kidnapper. "You're awake," he said, standing. He was even more imposing in the full light of day, dressed casually in black jeans and a white button-down with the sleeves rolled up. "How do you feel?" I scrambled back against the headboard, heart pounding. "Where am I? Where's my phone? I swear to God, if you..." "You're at my estate, about an hour outside Seoul. Your phone is charging in the other room, though I've disabled the GPS and outgoing calls for now. And I haven't hurt you, Kendra. I never will. You drugged me. You kidnapped me. To protect you." He moved closer, and I hated how my body responded to his proximity, heat pooling low in my belly despite my terror. "Dominic and his stepmother were setting you up to take the fall for an international art theft ring. They've been smuggling stolen pieces for years, using the gallery as a front. Your signature is on all of it." "How do you know that?" "Because I've been investigating them for months. I'm Kim Jun-han. Dominic is my half-brother. Different mothers, same bastard father. I've been working with the Korean National Police and FBI to build a case against them." The room spun. "That's insane. Dominic wouldn't..." "Dominic chose you specifically because you were vulnerable. No family in Korea, no support system, desperate enough to ignore red flags. He played you, Kendra. And when the authorities came, he was going to let you go to prison, while he and G1 disappeared with millions." Tears burned my eyes because I knew, somewhere deep down, that he was telling the truth. All the signs had been there. The isolated job, Dominic's distance, the suspicious paperwork. I'd just been too desperate for my soul dream to see it. "Why should I trust you?" I whispered. "You stalked me. You drugged me. You brought me here against my will." Kim Jun knelt beside the bed, bringing himself to eye level. This close, I could see flecks of gold in his dark eyes, could smell his cologne cedar and bergamot, and something uniquely him. "You shouldn't trust me," he said quietly. "I've been obsessed with you since the moment I saw you walk into that coffee shop 3 months ago. I've watched you, followed you, learned everything about you. I told myself it was for the investigation, but that was a lie. The truth is, I saw you, and I wanted you with an intensity that should probably concern us both. That's not romantic. That's terrifying." "I know." His jaw clenched. "I know it's wrong. I know I should have approached you properly, warned you about Dominic, let you make your own choices, but I couldn't risk you confronting him before we had enough evidence. And now that I have you here," his eyes darkened, "now that you're finally safe and away from him, I don't want to let you go." My breath caught. "You can't keep me here, can't I?" He reached out slowly, giving me time to pull away, and tucked a curl behind my ear. His fingers lingered against my cheek, and I hated how I leaned into the touch. "This estate is called Nubi. It means silk in Korean. 50 acres of private land, fully staffed, more security than the Blue House. No one knows you're here, except me. You could scream for a month, and only my people would hear. This is insane." "Yes." He stood abruptly, as if touching me any longer might break his control. "I'll prove that I can take care of you, that you can be happy here. Give me time, Kendra. Let me show you what life could be like without struggle, without having to swallow your pride, without men like Dominic using you. And if I refuse?" His smile was sharp. "Then I'll keep you anyway. I told you, little firefly, you're mine now." He left before I could respond, locking the door behind him with an audible click. I spent the first 2 days looking for escape routes. The bedroom had a private bathroom stocked with luxury toiletries and a closet full of clothes in exactly my size, all designer labels. The window didn't open beyond a crack, and even if it had, I was on the 3rd floor, overlooking manicured gardens, with no convenient tree branches. The door remained locked, except when staff brought meals and credible Korean food that made my mouth water despite my fury, or when Kim Jun visited. He came every few hours, always respectful, always keeping his distance, just talking to me, telling me about his life, his work, his complicated relationship with his father, who'd abandoned his mother to marry Dominic's mother for business connections. He asked about my childhood in Louisiana, my dreams for the future, my favorite books. He listened like every word I said was precious. It should have felt like manipulation. Maybe it was manipulation. But it also felt like the first time someone actually saw me. Not poor Kendra who needed saving. Not convenient Kendra who could be used. But just me. Why did you call me Little Firefly? I asked on the third day, when he brought me lunch personally. He set the tray on the table by the window and settled into his usual chair. Because you glow in the dark places. You came to a foreign country alone, learned a difficult language, kept your dignity when everyone around you tried to crush it. You shine, Kendra. You always shine. Damn him for making my heart flutter. I have a surprise for you, he said, standing and offering his hand. Will you come with me? I promise you're safe. I stared at his outstretched hand for a long moment before taking it. His fingers were warm, his grip firm but gentle. He led me through his mansion, and it was a mansion. All soaring ceilings and modern art and windows, overlooking the Korean countryside to a set of French doors that opened onto a stone terrace. And there, basking in a sunny spot, by an ornate fountain, was my cat. Ember! I dropped Kim Jun's hand and rushed forward, scooping up my orange tabby who meowed indignantly before purring against my chest. How did you? I had someone collect him from your apartment, along with your other belongings. I know you were worried about him. Tears spilled over before I could stop them. He'd kidnapped me, yes, but he'd also made sure my cat was safe. The contradiction made my head spin. Thank you, I whispered. You don't have to thank me for taking care of what's mine, Kim Jun said softly. That includes Ember now. Over the next week, he gradually gave me more freedom. The bedroom door stayed unlocked. I could wander the house and grounds, though I quickly discovered the estate was as secure as he'd claimed, high walls. Security cameras. Staff who were polite but clearly loyal to Kim Jun above all else. He took me horseback, riding through his private trails. Patient when I admitted I'd never been on a horse before, his hands steadying me in the saddle. He showed me his library 3 stories of books in Korean, English, and several other languages, and told me I could read anything I wanted. I'm still kidnapped, I reminded him one evening when we were having dinner on the terrace, the sunset painting the sky pink and gold. This doesn't change that. No, he agreed, pouring me more wine. But you're also safe, fed, and free to pursue anything that makes you happy within these walls. Is that really worse than the life you were living in Seoul? I hated that he had a point. Dominic is looking for me, I said, changing the subject. He must be losing his mind. Dominic is scrambling to cover his tracks now that his scapegoat vanished. Let him scramble. The investigation is almost complete. Soon he'll be too busy defending himself in court to worry about you. Your own brother. Kim Jun's expression hardened. Dominic stopped being my brother when he decided to ruin innocent people for profit. When he decided to ruin you. The intensity in his eyes, when he said that last part, made my pulse race. Why do you care so much? I asked quietly. Really? Beyond the obsession and the stalking and whatever this is. Why me? He was quiet for a long moment, staring out at his perfect gardens. When he finally spoke, his voice was raw. Because I saw you trying so hard to be brave in a world that wanted to break you. And it broke something in me instead. Because you reminded me of my mother. She came from nothing too. Married a man who promised her everything and gave her nothing but pain. I watched her struggle alone after my father left. Watched her work herself sick, trying to give me opportunities he should have provided. You're like her, Kendra. Strong and stubborn, and deserving of someone who will actually protect you instead of using you. So, I'm a replacement for your mother? I tried to keep my tone light but failed. No. He turned to look at me, and the raw desire in his eyes stole my breath. You're the woman I can't stop thinking about. The one I dream about every night. The one I'd burn down the world for, if it meant keeping you safe. Don't confuse my protective instincts with how desperately I want to possess every inch of you. The air between us crackled with tension. I should have been afraid. I should have run. Instead, I leaned forward. Then, why haven't you? I whispered. Possessed me, I mean. You've had me here for over a week. You could do whatever you wanted. Because when I finally touch you, little Firefly, it won't be because I've forced you. It'll be because you've admitted what we both know. That you want this as much as I do. My breath hitched. He was right. And we both knew it. Somewhere between the fear and anger and confusion, I'd started wanting him, craving his visits, noticing the way his shirt stretched across his shoulders, fantasizing about those intense eyes darkening with pleasure instead of restraint. This is Stockholm Syndrome, I said weakly. Maybe. Or maybe you're finally free enough to want what you actually want, instead of what you think you should want. He stood, offering his hand again. Come. I want to show you something. This time, when I took his hand, I didn't let go. He led me through the gardens to an orchard I hadn't explored yet. Rows of peach trees, heavy with fruit, the air sweet and thick with their scent. In the center was a clearing with a blanket already spread on the grass, surrounded by lanterns that cast warm light as evening fell. You planned this, I said. I've been planning everything since the moment I first saw you. Kim Jun pulled me closer, his free hand sliding around my waist. Say yes, Kendra. Stop fighting what you feel. Say yes to me. I should have said no. Should have demanded my freedom. Should have insisted this was wrong. Should have been the strong, independent woman I'd always tried to be. Instead, I whispered, yes. He kissed me like a man starving, all that careful restraint finally breaking. His mouth was hot and demanding against mine, his hands gripping my hips with possessive force as he pulled me flush against his body. I could feel every hard inch of him, the evidence of his desire pressing against me as I moaned into his mouth. Kendra, he groaned against my lips. My little firefly. Mine. Finally mine. He laid me down on the blanket with surprising gentleness, his body covering mine as we kissed with increasing desperation. His hands roamed over my clothes, learning my curves, while I fumbled with the buttons of his shirt, needing to feel his skin. Tell me to stop. He breathed against my neck, his teeth grazing my pulse point. Tell me this is wrong. Tell me you don't want this. I can't, I gasped as his hand slid under my dress, teasing higher. God help me. I can't. Then let me have you. His fingers found my center through the thin fabric of my underwear, and I arched into the touch. Let me prove you're mine. We didn't make it back to the house until the lanterns had burned down to embers. We christened that orchard thoroughly, Kim Jun taking me with a savage intensity that should have frightened me, but instead made me feel cherished, claimed, utterly possessed. He mapped every inch of my body with his hands and mouth, memorizing what made me gasp, what made me moan, what made me scream his name into the darkening sky. Afterward, he carried me inside despite my laughing protests, tucked me into his massive bed, and held me against his chest, like I might disappear if he loosened his grip. No going back now, he murmured against my hair. You're mine, Kendra, in every way that matters. I should have argued. Instead, I fell asleep, feeling safer than I had in years. The next 2 weeks were strange, and perfect, and confusing. I stopped thinking of myself as kidnapped, and started thinking of myself as his. Kim Jun was attentive, without being smothering, passionate, without being cruel. He worked from home most days, handling business from his office, while I explored the estate, or read in the library, or played with Ember in the gardens. At night, he was insatiable, taking me in every room of the house, against every available surface, with a hunger that never seemed to diminish. He worshipped my body like it was holy, told me I was beautiful, in English and Korean, until I believed it, made me feel desired in a way Dominic never had. I want to meet your mother, I said one morning, over breakfast on the terrace. Kim Jun looked up from his coffee, surprised. Why? Because she raised you. Because I want to understand where you came from. Because if I'm really yours now, I want to know your family. Something soft crossed his face, replacing the usual intensity. She'd love you. You remind me of her, you know. Same strength. Then introduce us. He did, the following weekend. His mother lived in a beautiful, Hanok-style house, in a quiet neighborhood. Traditional Korean architecture mixing with modern comforts. Kwon Min-jung was in her 60s, elegant and warm, with her son's same intense eyes tempered by laugh lines. So you're the one who finally made my boy lose his mind, she said in Korean, accented English, pulling me into a hug before I could even bow properly. Good. He's needed someone to shake him up for years. Mom, Kim Jun protested. But he was smiling. Over lunch, Min-jung told me about raising Kim Jun alone after his father left, about working multiple jobs to send him to the best schools, about being so proud when he built his own business empire rather than crawling back to his father's family. He gets his protective instincts from me, she said, patting my hand. We take care of our own, and you're his now. I can see that. He looks at you the way his father once looked at me, before. She trailed off, then smiled. But Kim Jun is not his father. He knows how to cherish what's precious. I kidnapped her, Mom, Kim Jun said dryly. Let's not pretend I'm Prince Charming. You saved her from people who would have destroyed her, Min Jung corrected firmly. Sometimes love means protecting someone, even when they don't understand why they need protection. I did that for you countless times. Before we left, she pressed a small box into my hands. Inside was a beautiful jade pendant, on a gold chain. This was my mother's, she said softly. I've been waiting for the right woman to give it to. Take care of my son, Kendra, and let him take care of you. You both deserve that. Sitting in Kim Jun's car, on the drive back to Newbie, I fingered the pendant and realized something that should have terrified me. I was falling in love with my kidnapper. You're quiet, Kim Jun noted, his hand finding my thigh as he drove. Your mom is wonderful. She is. And she's right, you're mine now. In every way that matters. His grip tightened possessively. I know how this started was wrong. I know I should let you go. Give you your freedom. Let you make your own choices. But I can't, Kendra. I physically cannot let you leave. You're too deep in my blood now. I know, I whispered. I don't think I want to leave anymore anyway. His sharp intake of breath was my only warning before he pulled off onto a side road, parked, and kissed me senseless. Say that again, he demanded against my lips. I don't want to leave. I want to stay. I broke off, the words too big and too scary. Say it. I want you. I want this. I want to be yours. The sound he made was pure possession. We didn't make it back to the estate for another hour, but paradise, even a kidnapped paradise, can't last forever. The first hint of trouble came 2 days later when I was reading in the library and Kim Jun burst in, his face dark with fury. We need to leave, now. What's wrong? Dominic knows where you are. I don't know how he found out, but he's coming. My security team is tracking his car. He'll be here in less than 30 minutes. My blood ran cold. How is that possible? You said, someone betrayed me. It doesn't matter now. What matters is getting you somewhere safe. But before we could move, his phone rang. He answered it, his expression darkening further as he listened. It's my head of security, he said, voice tight. There's been an accident on the estate grounds. One of my staff is hurt badly. I need to go help. Then let's go together. No, I need you to stay in my panic room. It's reinforced, safe, with communications to the police. Promise me you'll go there, and stay there, until I come get you. Kim Jun, promise me. The desperation in his voice convinced me more than anything else. This wasn't his usual possessive control. This was genuine fear. I promise. He kissed me hard, then showed me to a hidden door in his office that led to a small, secure room with monitors and communication equipment. Lock it from the inside. Don't open it for anyone but me. I'll be back soon. The door closed with a heavy thunk, leaving me alone with my racing heart and Ember, who'd followed us. I waited 5 minutes before the monitors showed Kim Jun running out to the estate grounds. I waited another 5 before I saw a second car pull up to the front entrance. Dominic climbed out, smoothing his suit like he was attending a business meeting, instead of invading his brother's home. I should have stayed hidden, should have followed Kim Jun's instructions. But something made me check the monitors, and what I saw made my blood run cold. There was no injured staff member on the grounds. There was nothing but empty gardens. It was a trap, and I'd just sent Kim Jun running into it while Dominic walked into an undefended house. I grabbed my phone from where Kim Jun had left it, charging in the panic room, and called the police. Then, against every instinct screaming at me to hide, I grabbed a heavy bookend from the panic room's small desk and left my sanctuary. I found Dominic in Kim Jun's office, rifling through files on the desk. Looking for something? I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. He spun around, his handsome face twisting into something ugly. There you are. You've been busy, haven't you? Sleeping with my brother, hiding from the consequences of what you did. What times I did. You framed me, Dominic. You and your stepmother used me to cover your art theft ring. Prove it. Oh, wait, you can't. Because all the evidence has your signature on it. My lawyers have made sure of that. He stepped closer, and I gripped the bookend tighter behind my back. You should have stayed disappeared, Kendra. But since you're here, we might as well finish this. The police are on their way. No, they're not. I have friends in the department who've been quite helpful in keeping Kim Jun's investigation bottlenecked. By the time anyone arrives, you'll be gone. and this will all be very unfortunate. He pulled a gun from his jacket, casual as pulling out a wallet. Nothing personal, sweetheart. You're just loose ends. I'd like to say I had a plan, that I did something clever and brave. The truth is, I panicked and threw the bookend at his head. It connected with a satisfying thunk. Dominic stumbled, the gun wavering, and I ran. I made it halfway down the hall before he caught me, his hand fisting in my hair and yanking me backward. I screamed, clawing at his grip, as he dragged me back toward the office. Stupid bitch, he snarled. You could have just disappeared quietly. The front door exploded inward. Kim June stood in the entrance, chest heaving, covered in dirt, like he'd sprinted back from wherever Dominic had sent him. His eyes found me, found Dominic's gun pointed at my head, and something absolutely feral crossed his face. Let her go, he said, his voice deadly calm. Or what, brother? You'll call the police? We both know they won't get here in time. Dominic pressed the gun harder against my temple, and I whimpered. This is your fault, you know. You had to play hero, had to interfere with my business, had to steal what was mine. She was never yours, Kim June growled. And you're not walking out of here. Everything happened at once. Dominic's finger tightened on the trigger. I dropped my weight suddenly, becoming dead weight in his grip. Kim June lunged forward with inhuman speed. The gun went off. The bullet went wide, shattering a window. Kim June tackled Dominic to the ground, and they struggled for the weapon. I scrambled backward, my ears ringing, as they fought. Kim June got the upper hand, his fist connecting with Dominic's face. Once, twice, 3 times with savage force. The gun skittered across the floor. Kim June kept hitting him, rage pouring out in every blow, until Dominic went limp beneath him. Kim June! I screamed. Stop! You'll kill him. He froze, fist raised for another blow, chest heaving. Slowly, he turned to look at me, and I saw tears tracking through the dirt on his face. He tried to kill you, Kim June choked out. He pointed a gun at your head. I should kill him. I want to kill him. But you won't. I crawled forward, touching his raised fist gently. Because you're not him. You're better than him. Please, Kim June. Stop. His hand dropped. He stood on shaking legs, pulling me up with him and into his arms, holding me so tightly I could barely breathe. I thought I lost you, he whispered into my hair. When I realized it was a trap, when I ran back and heard the gunshot. I'm okay. I'm right here. Sirens wailed in the distance, getting closer. Kim June had apparently called the police too, along with his FBI contacts. Within minutes, the estate was swarming with officers. Dominic was arrested, barely conscious, while Mrs. Sayo was picked up at the gallery trying to destroy evidence. The detective in charge, a stern woman named Detective Park, took my statement while Kim June hovered nearby, refusing to let me out of his sight. Miss James, you understand you're a witness in a major international crime case, Detective Park said carefully. You'll need to remain available for testimony. She'll be staying with me, Kim June cut in before I could answer. At this estate, where I can protect her. That's not exactly protocol, Mr. Han. I don't care about protocol. She stays with me, or I withdraw my cooperation with the investigation. His tone left no room for argument. Detective Park looked at me, one eyebrow raised. Miss James? Are you staying willingly? I looked at Kim June, this intense, obsessive, protective man who'd kidnapped me to save me, who'd fought his own brother to protect me, who'd somehow become the center of my entire world. Yes, I said firmly. I'm staying willingly. I looked at Kim June, this intense, obsessive, protective man who'd kidnapped me to save me, who'd fought his own brother to protect me, who'd somehow become the center of my entire world. Yes, I said firmly. I'm staying willingly. After the police left and the estate was secured, Kim June took me upstairs to his bathroom and drew me a bath. He washed the day's terror from my skin with gentle hands, his jaw tight, with residual rage and fear. I love you, I said suddenly, the words escaping before I could stop them. His hands stilled. What? I love you. I know it's crazy, and probably some psychological condition, and definitely too fast. But I love you, Kim Jun-han. You're possessive and controlling, and you kidnapped me. But you also see me, really see me. And you make me feel cherished and protected and valued in a way no one ever has. So yes, I love you. He pulled me from the bath, water streaming everywhere, and kissed me with a desperation that stole my breath. "I love you," he said against my lips. "God, Kendra, I love you so much it terrifies me. I've loved you since that first moment in the coffee shop. You're everything I never knew I needed. Say you'll stay, not because you're afraid, or have nowhere else to go, but because you want this. Want me. Want us." "I want us," I whispered. "I want everything with you." He made love to me on the bathroom floor. Sweet and slow and reverent, like he was memorizing every inch of my skin. Afterward, wrapped in plush robes on his bedroom balcony, watching the sun set over his perfect gardens, he slid a ring onto my finger. "Marry me," he said simply. "Let me spend my life protecting you, cherishing you, giving you everything you've ever wanted. Let me be yours, as completely as you're mine." I looked at the ring, a stunning diamond that caught the fading light, and thought about the girl from Baton Rouge who'd come to Seoul looking for a fresh start. She'd found it, just not in the way she'd expected. "Yes," I said, and kissed him as the sun painted the sky gold. We married 3 weeks later in the peach orchard where he'd first claimed me. His mother cried happy tears. My mama flew in from Louisiana and pulled me aside before the ceremony. "Baby girl, are you sure about this? He kidnapped you. That's not normal." "I know, Mama. But neither is anything else about us. And I've never been sure of anything in my life." She studied my face for a long moment, then nodded. "You're happy. Really happy. I can see it. That's all I ever wanted for you." Kim Jun and I stood under the peach trees, surrounded by lanterns and white flowers, and promised forever to each other. When he kissed me, I tasted peaches and possibility. The trial took 6 months. Dominic and Mrs. Seo were convicted on multiple counts of art, theft, fraud, and conspiracy. Dominic also faced charges for attempting to murder me. They were both sentenced to 15 years in a Korean prison. Kim Jun's father tried to intervene, offering money and connections to reduce Dominic's sentence. Kim Jun refused to help and cut off all contact with the man who'd abandoned his mother decades ago. "Some families aren't worth preserving," he told me one night, as we lay tangled together in our bed. "The family we choose is what matters. You, my mother, the life we're building, that's my family now." 2 years after that terrifying day, when everything changed, I stood in our master bathroom, staring at a positive pregnancy test. Kim Jun found me there, tears streaming down my face. "Little firefly? What's wrong?" I held up the test, unable to speak. His face transformed. Joy and wonder, and that familiar possessive intensity, all mixing together. "We're having a baby," he breathed, pulling me into his arms. "Our baby. God, Kendra, I'm going to give this child everything. Everything I never had. Everything you never had. They'll never know struggle or pain or... They'll know love," I interrupted, laughing through my tears. "That's what matters. They'll know love." Our daughter Zara was born 9 months later. A perfect mix of both of us, with my dark skin and his intense eyes. Kim Jun was insufferable, checking on her every 5 minutes, threatening anyone who came near her with bodily harm, crying the first time she smiled at him. I created a monster. I teased him one night when he was doing his 3rd check of her nursery monitor. "You created perfection," he corrected, pulling me against his chest. "You gave me everything, Kendra. Purpose, love, family. You saved me as much as I saved you. You know I'm going to tell her the story of how we met someday, right? The whole truth." "I know. And I'll tell her that sometimes love means fighting for someone, even when the methods are questionable. That sometimes protecting the people you love requires desperate measures. That her mother was worth every risk, every consequence, every moment of fear." 5 years later, Zara had a little brother, Jay. By then, I'd started a non-profit helping young women from disadvantaged backgrounds navigate international business opportunities, legitimate ones, with mentorship and support instead of exploitation. Kim Jun funded it completely, never asking for recognition. "This is your dream," he said when I tried to thank him. "Giving you what you want is my dream. It's always been my dream." I also started volunteering as an English teacher at a community center in Seoul, finally using my education degree in a way that mattered. Kim Jun drove me to every class, picked me up afterward, and listened with genuine interest when I told him about my students. "You were right," I told him one evening, watching him play with our children in the gardens. "That first night when you said I could be happy here, I am happy." Deliriously, Impossibly happy. Good. He looked up at me with those devastating eyes that still made my heart race after 7 years together. Because I'm never letting you go. You know that, right? You're stuck with me forever. Promise. I promise, little firefly. Forever. 10 years after he'd first whispered those words on a Seoul sidewalk while injecting me with a sedative, I woke up in our bed at Newbie with Kim Jun's arm around my waist, and our 3 children Zara, Jay, and baby Mia asleep in a pile at the foot of our bed after another family camping trip in our bedroom. I should have been horrified by how our story started. Should have been traumatized by the kidnapping, the stalking, the absolute insanity of falling in love with a man who'd taken my freedom. Instead, I was grateful. Grateful that he'd been obsessive enough to investigate Dominic, protective enough to pull me from that life, patient enough to let me choose him in the end. Grateful for every moment that led to this. Our family, our love, our life. What are you thinking about? Kim Jun murmured sleepily, pulling me closer. That I should write a book about us. How I fell in love with my kidnapper. A soul love story. He laughed, the sound rumbling through his chest. No one would believe it. Probably not. But it's our truth. Our crazy, impossible, beautiful truth. Our truth, he agreed, kissing my temple. And I'd live it all again, exactly the same way, if it meant ending up here with you. Zara stirred at our feet, blinking up at us with sleepy eyes. Daddy, are you being gross and romantic with Mommy again? Always, princess. Get used to it. She giggled and burrowed back between her brothers. Kim Jun's hand found mine under the covers, his fingers lacing through mine, with the easy familiarity of a decade together. I love you, little firefly, he whispered. I love you too, my obsessive protector. And I meant it with every fiber of my being. Our story might not have been conventional, might not have been sane, might not have been something I could ever recommend to anyone else. But it was ours, and I wouldn't change a single moment. Not the fear, not the confusion, not even that terrifying night on a Seoul sidewalk when everything changed. Because all of it led here, to this man who loved me with a frightening intensity, to these children who were our greatest joy, to this life we'd built from the ashes of the life I'd thought I wanted. Sometimes being sheltered meant being trapped. But sometimes, if you were very lucky and very brave and fell in love with someone equally crazy, being sheltered meant being home. And Kim Jun's arms, his estate, his fierce protection that had become my home in every way that mattered. The morning sun streamed through our bedroom windows, illuminating our sleeping children and the man beside me who'd moved heaven and earth to make me his. Outside, the peach trees were blooming again, their sweet scent drifting through the open window. I closed my eyes and let myself sink into this moment, this life, this impossible love story that started with a kidnapping and ended with everything I'd never known I needed. Hey, you made it to the end of our crazy love story. If you're sitting there thinking, this was insane but I couldn't stop watching, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss our next story. Drop a comment telling me if you'd stay or run if someone like Kim Jun kidnapped you. I need to know I'm not the only one who finds this romantic. And smash that like button if you want more dramatic, obsessive, over-the-top love stories. Thanks for watching. And remember, sometimes the craziest love stories are the best ones.